this esteemed institution. We thank Leiden University for welcoming us, and we hope that this visit can be the beginning of future collaboration and foster this between the two institutions. Thank you, and we wish everyone meaningful and interesting experience. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
SMA Al Hikmah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa mohon izin, saya menggunakan bahasa Inggris.
Kok enggak mau di landscape ya? Enggak mau di landscape ya?
Baik.
Gini tulisannya.
Yang saya hormati,
ini pakai mungkin
kepala sekolah SMA
kalau Surabaya. Itu dia.
Enggak.
Kemudian ada Ustaz
kan landscape
Dewi dan Ustazah Cikmia.
Aku juga di balik.
Juga Mrs. Elena.
Sampai sini lagi.
Mrs. Habibah.
Gitu.
Dan yang tak ketinggalan juga adalah Profesor Prof. Nuning ya.
Gimana ya, saya nggak pernah.
Baik. My name is Muhammad Bina, also, and I am the program director
ada satu nih yang tampil nggak?
I'm honored to be here as we launch our international studiescape trip. The international studiescape is a joint collaboration between Siratur and Indonesia Writing Edu Center. When Siratur and IWEC first sat down together, we want to create a program that in this modern globalist world. In future excursion, we are going to further develop the international studiescape. Not only will we arrange a campus tour and youth and idea talks, we will also launch a adult event as well as pre and post-trip education program. We hope that today onward will be a nourishing learning experience for you all. Thank you to IWEC for being our partner in organizing the educational aspect of this trip. Thank you to the Professor of Leiden University and Hot School for the constant interest for sharing your time and wisdom with us. And a final thank you to all the speakers. We will be hearing from on this trip and everyone who has made this trip for all of their hard work. Thank you.
Aku akan pakai bahasa Inggris, tapi mau bilang jangan lupa mencatat supaya nanti bisa pikir oke pertanyaan aku tentang apa, mau bilang apa, bisa bahasa Indonesia tapi bisa juga pikir bagaimana pertanyaan ini kalau bahasa Inggris. Ya? Ya? Oke, bagus. I reminded them to take notes so they can, decide questions for us. So I wanted to start briefly. I'm going to close my website because I feel a bit like I'm promoting. Wait a second.
Suaranya masuk.
Oke, aku punya cerita tentang waktu aku masih muda, umur 20. I was young, 20 years old, and I went to Merapi with a delegation of scientists, geologists from Granada, from Spain. And they brought me with them I was very young, and they were all male professors. They brought me to just hold their suitcases, take notes for them, bring them coffee. But it was an advantage for me to be invisible because I could observe around more. I realized now. And so I arrived to Merapi and I thought, I'm part geology, immunology. I thought, whoa, this is science, you know. I know the language of the world. I don't need to speak Indonesian. I know the language of the world, right? The sciences. I was wrong, but yeah, wait for it. And so I went there and we checked the soil of Merapi, the qualities of the soil, the minerals in the soil. We checked the activity of Merapi, if it's very active or not. And then we made a laporan penelitian, a report about it. And then we gave it to the government. It was 2000, so it was like Reformasi era. And we gave it to the institutions that were forming in Jogja. And then we left. Satu bulan aja. Only 1 month, and then we left. Later, years later, I came back. During the time that I was there, I made a friend from the Merapi area, from Kalimantan. She couldn't speak English or Spanish. I couldn't speak English either, or Bahasa Indonesia. But we communicated somehow. You can always communicate somehow. A few years later, I arrived to Merapi again, and we were older, and I could speak a bit of Bahasa Indonesia, so we could talk. And I realized Merapi was different. Volcanoes always change. They're always different. But I remember when I was younger, and when I was 20, looking up in Merapi, and I couldn't see any sky. Di atas cuma pohon-pohon. I could only see green trees. Now I looked up, I could see the sky. I looked around, the caves with bats that I saw before were not there. The mountain had changed a lot. And so I talked to my friend, sorry, I'm not looking back so much, I'm rude. I talked to my friend, and the person they had to put up with me. And then she said, well, this is your fault. Aku bilang, kenapa Merapi beda sekarang? Tidak ada pohon, gua-gua ini di mana? Sekarang dia berubah sekali. Dia bilang, itu karena kamu. And I was like, what? Karena sekali. I was shocked. Why me? I didn't do anything. I came for a month. Aku cuma di sini 1 bulan. Menulis laporan penelitian.
Ada satu yang nonton.
Dan pulang kampung. And I went back and I thought, that's it. And then she said, when you left, months later, the land around Merapi was taken from people who live there, from people from the kampung around, and given to mining companies. Right? The mining projects are still today there. And aku pikir, kenapa? Itu karena aku. I didn't help the mining companies. Right? Huh? Yeah. Our research spoke to the government, to the institutions, to the companies, but it was so disconnected from people. It was so disconnected jauh dari masyarakat dekat Merapi, orang asli dari Merapi, jauh sekali dari mereka. Tidak bisa bicara dengan mereka. We couldn't speak to people around. It was so far away from society there, from people. And so, without wanting to help, we help the mining companies come and displace people. So then I realized, oops, science is not apolitical. Science is not neutral. Science is disconnected. How do you say? Bagaimana disconnected kalau bahasa Indonesia? Jauh kan? Terpisah. Lupa kata-kata dasar. Terpisah dari masyarakat, terpisah dari pengetahuan masyarakat, far away, disconnected from the knowledge of societies. And then I remember the guardian of Merapi telling me, trying to tell me, because I didn't speak Indonesian, but trying to tell me something about coming back. You have to come back and listen. You have to come back and talk to people. And then, years later, the other young lady at my age that I met told me, there were many ancestral conversations with Merapi that did not take place when you were here. Your science is like a sort of white noise that blurred all the other knowledges that existed there before science. Pengetahuan ancestral, leluhur. Pengetahuan dari leluhur. tidak bisa mendengar mereka pengetahuan itu waktu kami di situ dengan sains. We were so loud and so important that we sort of blurred all the knowledges. I felt terrible. Merasa bagaimana? Mau menangis, begitu. I wanted to cry, I didn't know what to do, you know, what I didn't want the earth to be mined, I didn't want because if you mine Merapi, that has an impact in the whole system of the earth, right? It's not just Merapi, but it will affect anything, everything is connected on the earth. Why didn't I listen in a different way? That's what I kept thinking after. And so I realized that I should search, harus cari pengetahuan yang lebih sopan dengan context. I had to search for knowledge that was more respectful of the context, more in conversation with the meanings of the context. And so I ended up in linguistics, education, anthropology, went through all of it. And I still haven't found a context that is extremely ethical, and coherent. But I think crossing all the disciplinary lines, working with many different studies and disciplines is the key, I think, in an ethical way, of course. So then years later I went back. I go back every year. Aku ke situ kembali setiap tahun, hampir setiap tahun. Selama pandemi tidak bisa, tapi begitu. I go back every year almost, and I see Merapi change, and it's a reminder that knowledge is much more than just one form of knowledge, that I should have learned about politics, religion, culture, anything. Traditional knowledge, also oral history, and I didn't. So this is my story, a bit depressing, I know, but it's one of the reflective moments that made me who I am today. And I think it's important to reflect and admit our agency on things. Yeah? Does it make sense? Yeah? Okay, on this depressive note, who's next? You wanna go next, Habiba? Yeah? Siapa sekarang? Yeah. So this is a little introduction about my own struggles with knowledge. But now we're gonna listen to Habiba's work and how we can resist this type of, conundrums, no, challenges. Why am I using the word conundrum? Anyway.
Hi. Okay. No, it's a very inspiring story actually. Hi everyone, my name is Habiba. I'm from Egypt. I'm recently graduated from the HKU, and Nooni was my professor as well as now. And today I just would love to take this moment to kind of give you some insight into the research I carried out these 2 years at HKU. My project's name is Eco-Spiritual Nesting, Reversal Explorations of Radical Rest through the Threshold and Interior Ecology. So this is a very big and complex title. But what I am planning to do today is to kind of tell you a story or walk you through the concepts or the things that happened throughout these 2 years that have led to the creation of this project, both theoretically and materially. So to start off, when you join the HKU or any master's program, I think, you in the documents that you submit to apply, one of the documents is to have a proposal, a project proposal. And this proposal is kind of you explaining messages are to be taken very seriously. Like they come with the needs, or they come with something important that she needs to take care of, or something like that. And so when she passed away, my mom, to me the only meeting grounds left were in the barzakh for me to meet up with her. And this became kind of an addiction. And for you to go to the barzakh, what do you need to do? You need to sleep, you need to dream. In the proposal, I didn't have much of a very big idea. I just knew that I wanted to work with the concept of al-barzakh. And that's what I wrote in my proposal. And then I got accepted in the program. As I learned with Nooning, we spoke a lot about decolonial studies. And something that kind of would trigger me is that throughout the program, I would still be very in need of to not go to class and to just sleep and dream. Not out of laziness, but out of, well, kind of out of laziness, but also out of that I just didn't want to be existing right now. I didn't want to be awake. And so the concept of radical rest started to kind of sprout out, which is we're not actually able to rest or dream as much as we want because we have work. And you have to get up and you have to work, and then you have to make money, and you have, you know, like you have all these responsibilities. You can't just exist. You can't just be. And from there, I kind of was wondering what would life look like if we did not have to work, because work is a product of capitalism, right? So if there was no capitalism, I mean, that's a very big discussion, but what I'm trying to get at is, if there was no work, what would there be? Like a world without work, what would that even look like? And so I started to think about ecologies, and I started to think about fiction writing, like how would, you know, like how would the world look like actually. So before I carry on, I just want to make sure that these terms are kind of understood. That al-barzakh, it is a part of Sufism, and it's the space visited by the living during sleep or deep meditation, connecting to a higher spiritual truth, and that my mother's departure has inspired the exploration of al-barzakh. Radical rest is a discipline actually that's like really worked on. Like there are a lot of people that study what radical rest is. But for me, the way that I define it is a space of indefinite, time with no need for decision making. So there is no, you don't have to make any decisions. There is no action that is required, and it is indefinite. There is no, oh, I'm going to rest for a little bit and refresh myself and then get back to work. No, it's just indefinite. And so this is where kind of I thought of, okay, what would a world without work look like? And here is where I've always been very interested in, does anyone know biomimicry? Biomimicry. Exactly, the adaptation of nature, but in like design solutions or something. So, for instance, we see how, I don't know, the wings of the airplane, how it's similar to the wings of certain birds, you know, it's kind of like that. You adapt solutions that are in nature, and then you make it into material design. And so I came across this writer, her name is Mary Oxton. She's, I think, a genius. So she is a designer and she works with a lot of like computational templating and biomimicry and all sorts of these disciplines. But something that she wrote about, very briefly also, but it like had a ring to me, was called the techno-biosphere. And what that is that it's a real science, it's being developed now, but it stems from a very crazy concept, which is what if nature, so obviously there are many kingdoms of life within nature, but let's say what if trees or plants, so the way they communicate with each other is through some type of chemical communication, right? What if we can decode this language that they have and then translate robotic code, so in a way nature can understand what coding is, and then not only just understand it, but can control it and have agency of it, and then use it without us being the middleman, controlling it with the tech, using this technology to do whatever it wants. And from the research that has been done, all that nature wants is to increase biodiversity and decrease human hand on the nature. So I thought, okay, this is very good, because if I don't want to work, exactly. So if I want to sleep and just be with my mom and kind of give the baton kind of to nature to also not just to like do the work, but also just to recover from what we have done. Is this simple? Can everyone understand this? And so from there I thought, okay, I know that this is a very young science, but it is something that is real and it is being experimented with. So how am I, an art student, what am I going to do with this information? What tools do I have to work with this? So I know this writer who actually Mooning introduced us to, shout out Mooning. And so Donna Haraway, she has a book called Staying with the Troubles. And this book, I think everyone should take a look at it because it's a very inspiring book. And at the end of the book, so before I start, she's a writer. And she uses a method called SF, which stands for many things. So it can stand for science fiction, or like speculative feminism, or string figures. So this SF stands for so many things, but they kind of revolve around the same thing, which is speculative fiction or speculative fabulation. So it's a method to write, and in this writing you imagine alternative worlds than the world we're living in to solve some problems. And what I wanted to do was to kind of use this method of speculative writing, of like creating alternative universes or alternative worlds, to kind of reimagine what human and non-human interactivities would look like. At the back of the book, so in the last chapters, there is like a story that she wrote called Her and Other People within a collaborative workshop experience thing. But what she did write was a story called The Camille Stories, and it's about this human hybrid insect, and it's agender, I think, and their name was Camille, and so it's this Camille story. But Camille is a generational species. I won't go too much into it, but I really encourage you guys to look into it. So at the kind of end of the 2 years, this is kind of what came about from all the research. So the main concepts were there, but so many layers have become added to the work. And the last step of it was called Nature's Code. So Nature's Code is my speculative fabulation. So it's the story that I wrote of an alternative world where we rest within a world that is governed by nature. And so humans do not anymore have like the say. In fact, what humans are able to do is rest, or as I like to call it, nest. And the reason I call it nest is because in the story, nature has used this technology to create these biodiversity domes, like temples. And we as humans were invited to go in and rest. And what happens is that the nature also uses our bodies to further develop these domes. And as an art student, I had to kind of create some type of simulation of this. And so what I decided to do was to get clay. I don't have any clay building experience, but I just wanted to play with clay and see what type of forms I can come up with. And so I started to create these like an idea of what these biodiversity domes would look like. And so I created 3 domes, and this was my master's presentation, my final presentation. And I created like all these different organic shapes that are inspired by different biodiversity, by different habitats of like different biodiversity species. Yeah, so it's just a lot of photos of them and how different they are. Yeah? Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you so much. I also had no experience with clay making. What I wanted to do is in Rotterdam, there is a design agency that 3D prints clay objects, but with natural material. So imagine soil that is 3D printed, and the soil like contains, it's like a habitable environment. So it's actually nature, it's like a perfect application of the research, because nature is autonomously growing without anything, without anything intervening, exactly. But that kind of fell through because I needed funding, and that's a water story. So this was kind of my way around the problem. The end. Do you have any questions?
We take questions now? One or two questions. We can take questions now, and at the end, ada pertanyaan? Jangan malu. You can stand up, yes.
Make this type of arts, and we can create those details that you are telling us, and it kind of inspires me to make some of it.
If I understand the question is like what type of practice do you need to do, right? At the first year, I think Nooning remembers, I created some sort of collaborative storytelling workshop with my fellow students. And what I did was I got, so we were, I think, around 16 students. And I think Pan was there, who is over there. And what I did was I got a very long desk like this, and all of this was paper. And I brought in some wooden figures and they work as characters, non-human or human. And then I bought some like craft building material, and then I said, and I gave them a prompt, and I said, the world is in crisis, and I did not define what this crisis is. And I told everyone to imagine a crisis that we are currently going in, within a spectrum of crises, and to work together to create a collaborative story. And some took it seriously, and some were like being like joking, obviously, about it. But what my takeaway from it was everyone comes with a perspective and a story, and so what your world looks like is very different than mine. And if we both can combine what our worlds look like, the outlines of that is a very good indication of what type of thing you can write about. Am I making sense? Yeah.
But I think, just to add to what Habibah just said, to nurture the thoughts, right? That's what your question, like how and why, like Habibah came to this project. I guess it's lots of experimenting, right? Like, and that also includes thinking out loud, reading, thinking out loud.
A lot of reading also, but also just because I like all those references that you gave. Exactly. And one very practical piece of advice I can give you is that there is this mind mapping tool called Miro. You guys know? Miro. Or Miro, I don't know. But this mind mapping tool, all of my 2 years journey is actually mapped on Miro. Like you can see by month all the progress I did. It's a website, miro.com. Very useful. Yeah, I use it for everything. Yep.
But you can also use it.
Yes, but with Miro you can also share it with people. So maybe your notebook you can share. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
What will happen to the nature if we manage to translate living into like the chemical, chemistry chemical? Is there any effect on using nature if we able to understand that?
So I don't know actually. This is why I did this speculative. This is speculative because I don't know. It's like assuming. I still don't know. But what I would think is this. This is what I would think would happen. But in fact, I actually don't know. Yeah? Thank you so much.
Terima kasih banyak atas pertanyaan juga.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, did you know that according to the World Health Organization in 2019, the average life expectancy in the world is 73.3 years? In fact, in 2030, there's a growing expectation that advancement in technology and science may provide the humans to achieve the potential of immortality through a concept known as transhumanism. And good morning, everyone. In this special occasion, we will be presenting our essay entitled Transhumanism and its Effect on Religions from the Perspective of Islamic Laws. And before that, let us introduce ourselves first. I'm Oksa, and here I am standing with Zahwa and Najib.
Okay, as stated in the title, the topic of this presentation is about transhumanism. So, transhumanism itself is the bridge between humanism and post-humanism. Humanism focuses more on human nature, while post-humanism is the stage where humans already merged with technology or robots. So transhumanism aims to push humans to become into the stage of post-humanism. So in one way, transhumanism can be defined as a human movement so they can be better than the biological state, and by improving their cognitive abilities but with the help of technologies, stated by Julius Huxley. And
you might be wondering if it's true or is it real? And the answer is yes, it is real. One of the examples that we can see clearly nowadays is the existence of Neuralink, a technology company that was established by Elon Musk. So, for ground ideas, Neuralink built an implantable brain-computer interface that capable of translating thought into action. And in January, there is a test that is conducted. So this is Nolan Arbo. He received the first link, but since he was the first human to receive the link, they encountered a problem that could reduce the amount of data it could capture from his brain. But as is the first task, this experience gives us proof that the movement to reach posthumanism is very much real.
Okay, after Aksa talk about the example of transhumanism, we're going to talk about how does it affect religion in this world. Will transhumanism becoming a threat to religions? So, as we know, humanism have different ideology with religions. It clash with each other. So, to conclude, transhumanism will also clash with religion since it is a continuation from humanism. Now, we do know that most of humanism does not believe in the concept of metaphysics, or we call it do not believe in religions. But they believe in the absolute calculation and also science. This could lead people to eventually abandon their faith in religions or their belief. So this could lead to people like forgetting about their religions. Next slide, please.
okay, in the perspective of our religion, we must refer to the Quran verse, An-Nisa verse 919, because it ascribes the devil's action to harm humanity by making them think that the bad things are virtuous and the other. This is done by manipulating the human minds to fill our minds with unattainable fantasies or just hopeless dreams. But as Oksa has said, we do have some examples of transhumanism activities, such as the Neuralink. So what is this unattainable fantasy that I mentioned? So rather than going against the law of the Quran, it clashes with it. So in the Quran, verse Anbiya verse 34 to 35, it says that some interpretation says that immortality never existed to begin with, because transhumanism can somehow lead to some sort of immortality. It would never reach immortality, because in that verse, some interpretation said by a scholar named Al-Jalalin, even living beings, people before and now, even the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and after that, is eventually a living being that will experience death one day. And no one here will become immortality, no matter how much they try. And the one who determines life or death is just God. Okay, next.
Alright, so now we're going to talk about our opinion on this matter, our opinion on this problem. Okay, so as a Muslim, we're also going to abide by Quran's principles. But again, Islam does not forbid the name of technology. So to conclude, we can see there's one similarity from Islam and also humanism or transhumanism. That is to make humans better than themselves. But even if they have one similarity, they also will clash with one another since they have different ideologies and beliefs. When in transhumanism, they tend to make us as humans to reach a state of immortality, to reach that point. But in Islam, there's no such thing as immortality. Only God can obtain it, the immortality state where we are mortal beings cannot never do that. Another thing that Quran teaches us is that we can never change what Allah had already given to us. Like, for example, our body. We can never change our body to our personal likings, preferences. But however, there's some exceptions we can make, such as when we have into accidents, we run into accidents, we have to change our limbs or something with prosthetic limbs. That is some kind of exceptions we can have, so that we can continue on living by depending on technology. The next slide, Majid.
Actually, we do collect some opinions from our friends Ian and Alfie, but due to the limited times, we cannot explain it here. So I just want to conclude what we've been presented for the past 7 minutes. So we can use technology to make us better, to make our life easier, but never make us an immortal being. Because we will lose the meaning of life if we lose the experience of that. And do not let technology make you break the rules of living, the rules that Allah has set in the Quran. And that concludes our presentation today. We apologize from the very bottom of our heart if we did say something offensive to our dear audiences. And thank you. And if you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask. Thank you.
Ada penjelasan gitu. Ini udah tanda apa nih?
Ini
Orientasi di polisi hari ini?
nggak apa-apa. Ya, harusnya begitu.
Oh. Datanya mungkin harus kita yang itu ada. YouTube ada.
Telkomsel Ustaz. Sing tiket dana.
Asalnya nyontek ke euro ya.
Menurun 14.
Nggak bisa.
We'd like to invite our next guest speaker, Pan, up front for their presentation. Round of applause, please.
Hi, sorry for the technology problems, but there's no symposium without technology.
Yeah, always.
There's always. So,
This is the real experience of university.
yes. So we will proceed with the next item on the program. So this is financial ranking. Yeah, like Habibah, I'm also my former student at the Master Fine Art Department at the Makalu. So Pan is going to talk a lot, say something about his ongoing research on invasive species and sustainability and regenerative hunting. So that sounds intriguing for you.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm just thinking what is better, like should I just speak without microphone or with microphone? With microphone, okay. As Nuning introduced, my name is Panwani Jerantang and I'm from Thailand.
Thailand.
I also studied at an international school when I was in high
Wow.
school, so actually you guys remind me a lot of how I grew up as well. So during my master research, I made a project called Regenerative Hunting, which is, I brought the term regenerative from the regenerative farming, which is about how to farm for food while also increasing biodiversity, produce food for other species at the same time. And I try to challenge that idea by thinking that if I can hunt for food, like hunt for animals or forage for plants, in a way that it also benefits other species as well. And the first thing I would like to ask you guys is that, you guys know what is an invasive species? Yeah?
No.
So, yeah, in case you guys didn't know, this is a brief explanation. So, invasive species happen when a certain species from a certain place is brought by humans to another country, and then they became overpopulated, they colonize the area, there's no predator, they eat everything. So for some of the examples I provided, the first picture is a black tilapia, which is invasive in many places in Asia, including Thailand. The second one is a cave toad. This is in Australia. In the south of the Netherlands and in Germany, raccoon has become a big invasive species as well. And I also dealt with myself with an invasive species as well in my research. Since when humans are known as the biggest invasive species, and I mean, for me as a foreigner living in another country, I also doubt that if I bother other local people in some way.
Okay.
But back to my research. So one day I saw news about American crayfish invading Utrecht. So just to give a bit of background, so this is a crayfish from Louisiana, and they are very popular food in the USA. And as you know, that America is like one of the biggest, powerful country in the world. Their diets of food also affects other parts of the world, their tradings and stuff. So this species of crayfish traveled from America to the Netherlands from food trading, and they became overpopulated. So I thought maybe I can go out hunt them for food and also help improving the biodiversity, helping the nature at the same time. So that was my original idea. So during my research, I would create my own traps or like hunting tools, and create workshops of going out with friends to fish for food. And there's so many like I caught like how many kilograms? Like I would say like more than 2 or 3 kilograms of crayfish. And still like that is still like really small compared to how many of them I see in the canals or like this small waterway that I caught them. And later we had a kind of like collective dinner together. And aside from the crayfish, I also researched into another species of invasive species, which is the Pacific oyster or Japanese oyster. But interestingly, the story is quite different with this species. They are not so. It doesn't seem that they are so harmful to the local environment, and instead they integrate themselves quite well with the local species. So on one of the pictures on the on your right side, this is this Pacific oyster living with the local species of mussels, and they kind of form this kind of coexistence relationship together. This is something called oyster reefs. It happens when the oysters form a kind of like structure, habitat. Just give a bit of context, oyster grows on each other. It's almost like a plant, like one oyster shell can attract other oyster and the small oyster would attach onto the bigger one. Then they grow into this kind of yeah, I'd like to say that the picture on this side, the black air, this kind of like black weird area on the beach, this is all oysters. They form to a kind of like, I don't know how to explain, like a big colony. And I want to talk a bit about why I research into this kind of topic, like why I decided to go hunting for myself, and why don't I just buy food, basically buy food from supermarket. So in a way, my research also talks about in a way, like toxicity of modern technology. But I would like to say that to blame everything on technology is also not right. It's also about the economic system, the global trading, capitalism, these kind of things that's going on in the modern day. One of the inspiration that caused me to go hunting for myself is from this exhibition, Food for Thought, in the Maritime Museum in Amsterdam. And yeah, this exhibition basically talks about how the food trading that are related to the Netherlands and the technologies that are related to it. So the exhibition shows about how disruptive the hidden impact that we didn't know as a consumer. Going to the supermarket, we see food being ready, packaged, nice. But yeah, we have no clue about like the environmental impact that it causes. Yeah. So, for example, these are the picture on this side here. This is at the North Sea in the Netherlands. Fishermen use this kind of fishing technique that's used. It's called troll net drag or something. So basically, that's like a huge net that would scrape the floor of the ocean. Although the fisherman aims to catch shrimps or fish, it does kill anything that is living on the ocean floor. And the other picture is a cow, really gigantic cow farm in the USA that, for me, it felt like it turned the entire area into the desert. And yeah, only humans and cow exist in that area. So plant farming is also, although they are a bit more ecological, it's also created a lot of impact. For example, the picture on this side, this is in Africa. I'm not sure, I forgot what country it is, but yeah, a lot of food. The reason that Netherlands has food in every season is also because of the trading with other countries. The workers get paid for lower than minimum wage, and yeah, kind of exploitation, but yeah, that allows Netherlands to have green, fresh foods in all the seasons. Within the country as well. On the other picture, this monocultural farming, and they are known to deplete the soil because the philosophy of monocultural farming is to eliminate any other species except what people grow. Yeah, and beside that, this is something quite personal in the past because I grew up in international school, in an American school. I was kind of taught to look into the Western world as a more civilized and more technological advance, like what I should follow, and yeah, for me to start seeing some part of toxicity, the unecological part, I decided to go back to some part of my culture, how people produce food or catch animals. Yeah. So I went to, there's a village in Thailand called Tha Thayang village, which is a fisherman village next. It's in like a mangrove forest next to, like within a bay, and everyone in this village works as a fisherman. So, yeah, okay, so something interesting that I would like to show is that I would like you guys to, this is one of my breakfasts when I was living there. You can see that there are fish meat and also shrimp meat in there. It's a soft boiled rice, by the way. Maybe you guys also have some similar cuisine. So on the same day, I did some fishing, and then once I caught this fish, it's a decent size. I was thinking about keeping them for dinner. When I got open the fish, I see that there's a piece of shrimp inside, and it's a cooked shrimp. And it looks really similar to what I ate for breakfast, actually. So basically, the people who served me breakfast, I could tell they dumped the food into the water. But this food didn't just go to waste; it became food for animals as well. So in a way, I couldn't say that this is entirely ecological, but I could say that I experienced like a kind of cycle, a food cycle that's going on where humans and animals are benefiting each other. You know, like food for human can also be food for other species. And yeah, at the end, I would like to talk a bit more about my final presentation for my master program. So the picture on this side is the installation I made. It was inspired by a kind of like food cart in Asia, but I also try to build everything with ecological material. All the woods are scrap wood. Some part of the installation was made from branches or trees that I just collected myself. Like they're already cut down by I know people who take care of the forest and they just take them from the pile. And yeah, I cook the crayfish I caught and share with people who visit the event. So yeah, that's it for the slides. Maybe I can show you a bit more as well about the tools and the trap they made. So as I said, most of them are, it's kind of like a mixture of like this like scrap material I found and natural materials I can just gather from a park. So catching crayfish is quite easy. I would say like it's one of the easiest fish, like underwater creature to catch, and it's also quite ethical if you just want to like catch it for fun and then release it back. So first of this trap, I decided to I would put meat in the bottom, then drop into the water. From now, I will simply wait for the crayfish to get close by, and then once it's inside, and then start pulling it up. I would say it would work in the shallow water. If it's too deep, it's quite hard to see if it gets inside or not. This one also has quite the same logic. I would like to ask you guys, what do you guys think this material is?
Wow.
It's what's it called? Table mat. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's plastic or like it looks a bit like rubber. I don't know. So yeah, it's kind of like the same logic that I would tie the meat in the middle, and then pull it up when the crayfish get close to it. Yeah, yeah, sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's a silicone. Yeah, we can pass them around.
We all thought automatically trees, something everything is natural. The silicone was natural.
In a way, yes, I would say. This is something I just came up with recently. I noticed that crayfish they have a lot of legs, right? And they like to hold on to things with that pincer. So I decided to use what's called the kind of like garlic package, put meat inside, seal it, and kind of like just tie it to the rope and then drop to the water, just like fishing. I would tie it to like a stick when I do this. Then when crayfish approach, their legs tend to get caught by the holes of the net. Like these net texture would help with the grip of the pincer as well. So it's I can kind of instead of using hook to fish up, the crayfish will get trapped in these nets and then I can pull it out like a fish.
I think it's actually interesting to connect what Pan presented with the notion of technologies that we have heard from the previous consultation, right? Or presentation. Like if technology, like in our minds, tend to be associated with the machine or with something technological, but we have to talk about something sustainable or to prolong the life of the planet and ourselves included. We need to think about the other aspects of technology, right? Like what can here.
But also think of the idea of going back to our roots, going back to for technological knowledge, for advanced knowledge, not just looking at newer knowledge, but going back to the housing inequality in Thailand and how their ways are more sustainable than here or than in a big city in Europe, So going back to the roots to decolonize also knowledge, and the agency of the colonizer as the center of knowledge. That's a construction. That's how we created the colonizer, to be able to construct. So this is very important. That you also look into your own roots and what you learn in whatever you are, city villages, neighborhoods, at sea, anywhere. And then the knowledge is there. It's not just here. It's also there. So this is important too. You mentioned the transhuman, your identity, your religion, who you are. Those are your roots also. So connecting that to all the knowledge in a conversation. Sorry, guys,
It's good. I think I present what I prepared. So maybe it's around for questions now, because I would love to explain more.
We're going to proceed with the presentations and then we can continue discussing with Pan and our presenters.
Talking back, another thing. I think there's some concerning fact that I can think of, and not very shocking. For example, the crayfish and the oyster, they are new and they actually contain chemical. Although I would say that water in the Netherlands is much cleaner than what I experienced in Thailand, in the city. It's still unclear if this is gonna affect your body in the long run.
Why? Why does it have metals?
Because of all the industries. I would say it's just a lot of stuff like people dump metal into water, waste, So it's still really hard to practice this regenerative hunting where you're thinking. In a polluted world. Yeah, in a polluted world. So the world itself is also against us.
Habibah is leaving soon, so
Kalau bantuannya bisa juga lihat di depan.
Iya.
Jadi Bang. Langsung 40.
Boleh dikasih.
Okay. Hello everyone. Good evening. Oh. Hello everyone, good evening. First, we would like to tell our literature review about this application that actually have helped Muslims in this modern era. This application that we use is actually Quran based, and maybe some of you are familiar with this application because, maybe. Yeah. Okay, before we start, we would like to introduce ourselves. Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin Muhammad. We've got Ganendra Wismamardika and also Rasha Metataraman. And without further ado, let's dive into our presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ian. I will be going over the list of contents. So, because of the short time that we have, I will not be discussing the details of these keywords, but essentially these are what makes out a Muslim, the aspects that makes a Muslim basically a Muslim, and how these aspects of life could be challenged or even disturbed in a foreign environment. Because, for example, how would you find your nearest mosque now that you're in a familiar position? How would you locate the direction of the Qibla now that you're in a different position? And how would you recite the Quran if you didn't bring one? But luckily, the innovation in technology might have given us a solution. Next. So, the demographic that we have as a data is important to our research because it basically it affects the data of the research and the opinion that is formed. So I would like to tell you about them. From the data that we have, the respondents are predominantly 15 to 20 years old with a minority of old people, and a vast majority of them are male with a minority of female. Next.
Okay, so as we explore the role of technology in Islamic education, we can see how it has transformed the way people study or learn the Quran. In the past, learning was often limited by location and time, but they are also required to hold a direct session with an ustad or a preacher. But however, with the rise of digital tools, these challenges have become easier to overcome. For example, some digital platforms like We Choose, Quran Best, offer flexible learning, allowing their users to study the Quran at their own pace. They also provide access to translation, tafsir, and interactive features which can help us deepening our understanding about Quran.
Okay, these are our samples that we have that I actually said before. We can conclude that there is many effectiveness of this application. First, that the users, Quran Best has a positive impact on the users that helps them to know more about the Quran verses and also Islam in a very basic manners. And also, there's also two effectiveness points that we would like to point out. First is that the ease of access for people to use the Quran Best, because you can download it by many, if you download it by maybe Safari or maybe Google, the Play Store, and also others. But not only that, you can also open this application anywhere and anytime you want, even if you don't have any internet. And also, the features that we would like to point out is there's two features that really helps the users or our samples. Is that these applications have tracking progress in your recitation process. So if you were to read maybe page 216 to page 240, it will track that how many pages you've read and also the very last verses you've read. And not only that, this application also give you a time, like what time is it to pray and what time for you to read the Quran itself. But unfortunately, this application only can be used in Indonesia right now. So for the tracking time for prayer is not valid in any other place than Indonesia. Next.
Surely the benefits that come from technology doesn't only come with benefits. There are challenges and problems that we have to face as the user of this technology. One of them being accessibility issues for people who are old and people who have disabilities. For example, old people would be confused with a complicated design, user interface that young people would normally be accustomed to. And for disabled people, maybe the deaf would have problems interacting with certain features like read along and the intonation of the Quran. And there is also a lack of spiritual depth where the connection between you and God feels monotonic because there is no human interaction. We suggest a few solutions to these problems, that is to add disability-friendly features, make simple and easy to understand interface, and add a consultation feature with the Quran teachers or someone with the same degree.
So, in a very short conclusion, our review shows that while digital platforms offer benefits like accessibility and personalized learning, they also have limits, especially when it comes to replacing the spiritual depth of traditional learning. So, the future of Islamic education may involve a combination of both digital tool and face-to-face learning to create a more balanced and effective learning experience. I think that's it from us. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Coba cek live YouTube masih ada nggak?
Hello, dear audience. Do you know how music affects your emotions? How does it affect your moods? No? Well, we're going to go in this talk. You may ask, why do I say we? Well, because I'm learning
and I hope you could learn with me too. What's up, and welcome to our little talk show! And I will be one of the people who will be giving our little presentation about our little scientific research. And I am here today with my special guests, and you know my group right now. Hello everyone! Okay, so let's get straight to the point, okay? We're here to talk about how does music affect emotions in premenstrual syndrome phase in your high school female students. So, from the title we can see here, why are we choosing music as like a way to relieve negative emotions? So an easy way to answer that is because we found out that there is a study that has been done by a researcher in Tokyo University. It said that music could lower your stress and nervous system. But why not like take drugs that could relieve most PMS pain, or like drinks that could do the same effect too? Well, you see, so consuming continuous amounts of drugs or even too much drugs are not good for your body. That's why we came up with this solution by listening to music, of course, and it's already been studied to be true too. Okay, so by this research that we already made, we're trying to look at two things. The first one is how is the influence of music in reducing emotion during premenstrual syndrome, and the next is how is the influence of music generate in reducing emotion during premenstrual syndrome phase in Al Hikmah Surabaya senior high school female students. Okay, so Ron, back again. Mind telling me again so well what is premenstrual syndrome and why is it connected to our negative emotions? So Sabrina and audience here, premenstrual syndrome, or abbreviated as PMS, is a group of physical and emotional symptoms that happens around 7 to 10 days before the actual period starts. Most women have at least symptoms for PMS, and it may be gone after the actual period starts. The symptoms may range from mild to severe. I see, so it's a health kind of thing that connects to your emotions. It ranges from teens to adults who haven't yet gotten their menopause. But it's mostly teenagers though. Okay, and we only gathered the data from females only because apparently men doesn't. Next. Okay, so here we gather the data by using Google form, that is consists of 15 questions that overall ask about is music really effective to reduce emotion during premenstrual syndrome phase. And who did we share this form to, guys? There's about 70 people that filled our forms. So there's a total of 342 female students in Al Hikmah Surabaya senior high school. So we only took around 20.5% of them. Okay, well, show me the results, please. Okay, here it is. So we want to know the urgency of PMS by reviewing its frequency, duration, and how it affects the female students of Al Hikmah senior high. You can see here that every female student has their different frequencies and durations. So the first one, we're going to see the data of have you ever experienced PMS, and yes, most of the female students in Al Hikmah Surabaya senior high school has ever experienced PMS. And next, the most duration they got is around more than 30 years. But it's actually kind of different from the study in the background because it says that PMS occurs 7 to 10 days before the period starts. Okay, so the next data, please. It's talking about the So now we have what they do experience in premenstrual syndrome. Most of our friends here feel sensitive and lonely. So next we're going to see what did they feel when you're listening to music while experiencing PMS. And we could see that they felt calm and energized, just like what we thought and what the study was community saying that it's like that music makes you feel calm, right? But it's actually kind of different because the study said that classical music is the most effective when it's like to reduce emotion, right? Emotion. Yeah, but in the second chapter, it says that pop music period phase due to various factors, but some of them are stress factors and environmental factors. And music ensure effects to reduce women's energy during menstrual periods. So for people out there that want to continue, for people out there that want to do a similar research as us, please make your own stuff and don't copy it. And please inform your respondents what is BMS and anything that connects to it so they know what you're about to get involved in. We made the form consisting of simple questions that only shared it to the few members of Al Hikmah Senior High. And people that want to continue our research, please make the questions more specific and probably also expand the research area. Yeah, of course. Okay, so such amazing research we've done here, right? The three of us will be on them. So thank you for our honor, Ustad Episada, who already guided us to finally present our research here, and also to all of the and we'll see you soon on our next episode of Super School. So, or not, yeah. So see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Sudah tak
We have a colleague from my department here.
Enggak.
Say hi.
Keluar bentar.
So Rizal is an economist. He's an economist in our department, and he's Indonesian also. So he came to visit us. You want to talk or no? Maybe okay. So if any of you want to study economy and many other things, politics, anything else, you can talk to Rizal. He's there also. If he's still here by the end. Terima kasih ya. Oke, siapa sekarang? Tinjan terakhir. Yes. Silakan.
Itu Satya. Keren.
Tes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope everyone has a good day on this beautiful day. This time we would like to present our research entitled MENIS, or Mental Health Screening Website, as a basic mental health screening website for Al Hikmah high school students. Okay, so before we continue our presentations, it would be better if we introduce ourselves first. Okay, my name is Arisa Teka Muhammad, but my friends usually call me Satya, and we got Abdul, and we got Farel. Okay, next.
You know, mental health is important, right? So, a good mental health is when our minds are in a peaceful and calm state. So, allowing us enjoy everyday life and appreciate around us.
I will tell you a fact. A data from Riskestas, a basic mental health research, shows that the prevalence of mental disorders indicated by symptoms of depression and anxiety for those who age 15 years and over reaches around 6.2% of the populations, or it is equivalent to 11 million people. And in adolescents, 15 years to 24 years, the percentage of depressions reaches around 6.2%. Severe depressions will tend to hurt themselves to suicide. As much as 80% until 90% of the suicidal cases are the results of depressions and anxiety. Okay, next.
So, how about in our school, SMA Al Hikmah Surabaya? Do we have the same problem as the student in outside Al Hikmah?
From the data we took,
either male or female students are more likely has a poor mental problem. By the data we collect, 54% Al Hikmah students, male or female, are having poor mental condition. The question is, do we have a solution to overcome this problem? So, yes, we have. Of course, this research tries to answer this problem with the goal to find out the mental health condition of SMA Al Hikmah Surabaya. The methodology that we use in this research is quantitative and descriptive. Quantitative is for presenting our data, and descriptive is for collecting our data.
Here is some type of question we are having on this research. Many type of question in Manage website. So with the aim of knowing the mental condition of the respondent. For example, here you can see, are you having trouble focusing and is your mind easily distracted by other things? So after answering all the questions, respondent will get result based on their mental condition. Either be good or bad. You can see right there is on the left side, you can see it's a bad, and then the right side is a good one. So the conclusion of our research is online surveys conducted through website enhance the efficiency of data collection, and the result show that the most of the respondents having problem maintaining their mental balance, make it important to increase awareness and support to solve these issues.
Okay, our message is, let's create a supportive environment when mental health is our priority. So, start caring about mental health by caring about the people around us, like our family and our best friends. Okay, next. Thanks for giving us an opportunity to share our knowledge here, and thank you for Ustaz Zaza for the guidance, and thank you for Mbak Zikra, Mbak Mahda, and Mbak Nafisa. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, I'm so impressed by all your research projects, but also the way that you reflect about methodology, ethics, consent, that's very important. In research, not only data, quantitative data, but also qualitative data, mixed methods, ethics, informed consent. Okay, so we don't have a lot of time, so I'm just gonna say a couple of things very briefly and give you the certificates, and then we can go and eat lunch. Bisa makan setelah ini. And I wanted to make just a sort of connecting reflection to Pan, Habiba, what I said, what Nunim says always, what you said. And there's so much to say, there's so many questions that I have, so I don't know where to start. So I think the common denominator, the common idea that we all share is that we need to talk to each other. We need to learn about the context, the meanings of each research context and what it means to people, and not impose our own categories, our own perception of the context and people. So I think talking to each other, talking to our families, going back to our roots, learning from our own roots and our life, and then connecting to other forms of knowledge, I think that's the key to having research that is ethical, coherent, and important, and has an impact in the world. And remembering that nature, environment, religion, identity, culture is all connected. It's not separate, it's all connected. So we need to find connections instead of disconnection. And remember that each context is unique. We are all unique. And we don't always respond to the same categories or the same concepts or the same experiences. So learn to hear, to listen, to understand those around you, yourself, and context, and nature. We are nature also. Nature is us. So let's reconnect with what is around us, and the senses and the environment. And anyways, I will be with you a bit after, so you can ask me questions if you want. You can also ask Pan maybe if they are around, and then Habiba has left, but you can also send an email, and Nuning, of course, and Fai. But now we're going to proceed to the important moment. You're graduating today.
Yeah.
Very well done, everyone.
Thank you so much, Elena, and all the speakers here. Because this room is going to be used for the next event, we need to move very quickly. So I'm going to call out all your names, and I don't care, but you just have to come here, okay? To get your certificates. Rasha, Hafiz, Atarahman. Before that, sorry, we would like to invite the principal of SMA Al Hikmah to give memories for our speakers. Mr. Ansari Prabowo.
Oh yes.
Testimoni sebentar ya.